what happened was once a year I would do a hip hop outreach, like a hip hop Bible study outreach. And so it would be like, it was just like a hip hop show. It was like Rolling Loud, but like very small scale, like 3,000 kids. But for me, that was a lot, right? And so we have DJs perform, rappers perform, B-boys, you know, all of that. We do sketches and all that. So I was like, yo, how dope would that be if I got MC Hammer to come speak at this event and inspire the youth, you know, to get off the drugs and get off the streets and get off the gangs. And so I chased him down for 6 months and I couldn't get to him. And it was like 2 weeks before the event and I was ready to give up. But I just kept trying every single Sunday night, trying to get through the bodyguards, through security, through his assistants. And then I finally got to him. And I remember him just looking at me and I told him what I want to do. And he was like, you know what? I'm down. I'll come and speak. And I was just like super relieved and thankful. And then I think he kind of looked at me, just saw my hustle. And he was just like, so young man, what do you do? And I was like, what do I do? What do you mean? Like where I work? And he was like, yeah, what do you do? You working anywhere? And I was like, well, I work at this startup in Cupertino across from Apple. We sell websites for small businesses. And it was this little e-commerce, it was called e-commerce tech, I remember, on De Anza and Stevens Creek. And he was like, startups? He's like, I invest in startups. He goes, I'm a venture capitalist. He goes, why don't you quit your job and come work for me? You're Asian. You must know how to use computers. And I was like, MC Hammer? I was like, oh, hell no. Wow. I was out of my mind. So the next week I quit my job. And, you know, there I was in his office in Tracy, California. I still remember I was 17 years old. And he was telling me, Jason, look at this. Everything's Bluetooth, wireless, no cords. We're laying fiber optics. He's like, we're going to MCI Global Crossing this week, and we're gonna deliver rich content over fiber. And I was just like, what's this dude talking about? Right?
He was ahead of the tech curve.
Way ahead, right? And he was like, Hollywood's going down, music industry's going down, rich content, digital distribution. He says, Hollywood's coming to Silicon Valley. And this is like 1997, 1998, right? And of course, he becomes best friends with this guy named Ron Conway. And so if those of you watching don't know who Ron Conway is, he's the quote unquote, the godfather of angel investment, created the term, you know, angel investment, right? So I always say that Ron wanted to be cool and Hammer wanted to get into tech. And so basically they became bosom buddies. And because of SV Angels and Hammer being best friends with Ron and being unofficially an advisor, right, to SV, we just saw everything. Like we literally saw everything. And I'm sure you've heard about Hammer, you know, being in the scene. Like he was the first celebrity in Silicon Valley that really leveraged his celebrity to get into venture capital and early tech.
Yeah, Ron would bring him around to Y Combinator demo day, like all the time. And like MC Hammer would be there and people were like, what is going on? Like, why is this guy here? And yeah, he was out there making investments, and it was like a badge of honor to get MC Hammer to invest in your company, because then you had like a celebrity, you know?
Yeah, it was all before, you know, the Warriors were investing. I still remember like Hammer, I used to drive him around to every meeting. So I drove him to the YC meeting. I drove him to San Mateo when we met YouTube. And it was literally Steve and Chad, the guys above a pizza parlor. I still remember it was like dial-up phones, like rats in the office, and like 5 guys, right? And Hammer's like, Jason, there's a company called YouTube, man. They're uploading content to servers. We're going to start creating content with our camera. And I'm just like, yo, that's so lame. I was like, because this is like 2004 or something like that, right? We were talking still, there's like $1 million Britney Spears music videos, right? And then like Hammer's having me like have this Casio camera, like recording him in the back alley, and it looks so bad, right? It's like user generated content, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, we're gonna upload it to YouTube. And I'm like, all right, right? And so it was just crazy. Like I remember, and then he met with Dorsey, and I remember it was like few guys at Twitter at the time, and he was like, Jason, this new thing, Twitter, you want to type 140 words or less, 140 characters or less. But you know, I was telling them today, like, you know, why don't you use this for threading and like asking questions? You can create conversations on, you know, on the Twitter thread. And I'm just like, oh, that's interesting, right? And you know, it was just so beyond his time. And I just had those window in as this young, you know, kid to just see the evolution of Silicon Valley 2.0. And, that led me to my passion, which was making content, telling stories, right? And specifically between East and West and Asia and America.